Hello, good evening. Let me put my cap on. I hear it's a trademark. Welcome one and all to another date on Journalist Hangout. It's the midweek edition. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Today on the program, President Buhari visits Dapchi, opts for negotiation over military action to secure release of abducted schoolgirls, and Senate and House consult as Buhari rejects elections reordering. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. I greet you.
I greet you, Citizen.
Yeah. We also have Mustafa Ogunshakin. Welcome. I greet you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Not forgetting, of course, Asukwa James. Daidem for. Good, good. You won't begrudge us that. Okay, then, we are ready to shoot. I hope you are. All right, then, the propriety of bargaining or reaching a compromise with terrorists under any guise is the most nerve-wracking exercise. When you do, it is for both tactical and strategic reasons. President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday declared that government would prefer the tough but advised option of negotiating with Boko Haram for the release of both the Chibok and Dapchi schoolgirls. For him, the military option is out of the equation. These are really times that try men's souls.
Yes.
You know, you say governments normally would not negotiate with terrorists, but when you do, it must be more than the eye could see.
Yes. What the president is showing a weakness these days. The things that he ought not to say, you hear him say them. It is unprecedented to admit that you are going to negotiate with terrorists. What governments do is they don't directly negotiate with terrorists, they get third parties to do it on their behalf.
In some cases, such a government will come out to deny it.
Yeah, we even deny it.
Yeah.
Remember the second set of Chibok girls that were released. Even Elijah Lai Mohammed, people tried to put words in his mouth and he said, no, I'm not aware of any swap. I'm not aware of any swap. He said that because he didn't want to get involved in an argument that would lead to, oh, we paid so amount of money. Oh, yeah, we released some Boko Haram bomb makers in exchange for those girls and all that. And these are not things that people want to hear. Because if you release like 10 Boko Haram bomb makers in detention, it will cause real problems.
Yeah.
Because you will now see an escalation of suicide bombings and all that. And if you release some of their commanders too, Boko Haram will become much more effective at killing people than they are now. It is inevitable to part with something in securing those girls. We must part with money, whether we like it or not. And it's already been reported in the foreign media that we actually paid millions of dollars and all that. It's painful to hear those things, but it shouldn't be our government admitting. Because
frontally.
Yes, that this is what we are doing. The Cameroonians negotiated with Boko Haram to secure the release of those French clerics.
Yeah.
The Cameroonians negotiated with Boko Haram to get the Chinese construction workers who were kidnapped. Yes. The Cameroonians negotiated with Boko Haram to secure the release of the wife of their deputy prime minister. We know these things. But you won't hear a Cameroonian official come out to say, oh, we did it. This was, I hope it won't even get to the point that we will announce how much we paid.
Mustafa, failure of this negotiation is not an option. Meaning you must not fail.
Well, of course, if the president has said that the military option has failed, because what His Excellency the President has just said is that our military has failed. That's another word.
No, these are your words.
Yes, you see, when things like this happen, you look at the surface structure He's the president of the country, for God's sake. Whether we like it or not, that's the truth. You look at the underlying structure also. Sentences, words have structures, citizen. So whether we like it or not, what I expect now is to have some heads rolling. It's shameful, it's unfortunate that we have got to this extent. And unfortunately, I don't see any brighter sun to this. Because what it simply means is that the Boko Haram people will get bolder and bolder.
Okay.
Because this is now a matter of blackmail. And you know blackmailers, they don't stop once.
Yes.
They will always come back.
Once you pay them,
So I'm not even sure whether because it has not worked in the past, that's why the millions of dollars that we have paid, I'm not sure that even this negotiation is still going to work. They will want to make a mockery of the Nigerian government and the Nigerian people. And that is very, very sad. That's the way I look at it.
Asukwa, you know, look at this mathematics. Cynics have said initially at Chibok, they abducted 270 plus girls, released how many of them? Now they have ferried away 110. It's like a cat and mouse game.
Well, it depends on the cat and the mouse. Because if you look at it, if you do the plus and minus, it seems that the Boko Haram terrorists are still having the upper hand because they release a number and they are taking that same amount of girls.
They officially took some of their members that were under detention.
So it means it's like more or less the Nigerian government that is even losing in the negotiating table.
Yes.
Because if you release like 100 and they also take 100 and plus the number of terrorists plus money, it means that they are having upper hand. So it depends on who the government is negotiating with. Are they really negotiating with the right set of people? Or they are just doing the negotiation to please Nigerians or to please themselves, that they are really, winning the war, in quotes, either technically or otherwise.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the negotiation is not really working. To me, it's not really working. If there have to be a negotiation, it has to be concrete. If we want all the girls to come, we need to make sure that all the girls...
Speak to the right person.
Yes, the president needs to make sure that all the girls are back home and safe and alive. And then we know that, okay, nobody is being kidnapped or nobody is in the captors, with the captors. Because even if the 110 girls are being released today, plus the Chibok girls, what tells us that tomorrow they won't still go ahead and kidnap?
It provokes this question, Jide, now at this point. If negotiation would ensure the release of the abducted girls, would it put an end to insurgency? Otherwise, I'm asking, if you cure the effect, what about the cause?
Certainly, the essence of the negotiation is not to end the insurgency. The essence of the negotiation is to get those girls released so that those who have been insulting the government and branding the government incompetent,
inactive,
and clueless would at least spare the government maybe for some time until something untoward happens again. So I think the whole intention is to say, see, yes, we failed to stop the abduction of these girls, but we are sensitive enough to not want them to remain with the captors for too long. So we will do whatever it takes to secure their release. I remember the president during his campaigns in 2014 to 2015 saying, look, I will never imagine that I've won the war against terror until all the Chibok girls have been brought back home. Today, we still have at least 119 Chibok girls in the hands of Boko Haram. And what complicates matters for us is the fact that Boko Haram has two factions, and each of the factions has Chibok girls. They made it so from the beginning, so that in the event of a military action, you cannot secure the release of those girls at once. So they kind of dispersed the girls, kept them with commanders here and there. And I think I've told the story here of what happened in October 2015 when we tried to secure the first set of girls from Boko Haram. And a rival faction came to the scene where the exchange was going to happen in an area between Dikwa and Mafa. Dikwa is the headquarters of the old Kanem Borno Empire. And Boko Haram has strong nostalgic feelings for that Dikwa because they held on to it for a long time until Cameroonian troops chased them out of the place in 2015. So the exchange was going to happen between Mafa and Dikwa. Mafa is just like 50 kilometers from Maiduguri. And the other group materialized on the scene and said, see, if this exchange, if this release takes place, we will go and slaughter all the girls in our hands. And the other group had more than 80 girls. So the release of the Chibok girls that should have taken place in October 2015 couldn't take place. And then the negotiations continue. We'll get the Swiss government involved, we'll get the Red Cross involved. Once they are released, they will say, we don't want to see any Nigerian soldier in the area where you are going to release. Because they care about their safety. You understand? That if they see the soldiers, they will think, oh, they'll kill them. It is a terrible thing. We found the people who didn't allow us to crush Boko Haram from the beginning. I blame them for the mess that we found ourselves now. President Goodluck Jonathan at that time made a big mistake in removing the then chief of army staff, Ihejirika, because Ihejirika was ruthless, and no Nigerian territory was lost to Boko Haram when Ihejirika was chief of army staff. Jonathan relieved Ihejirika of his position in January 2014. By June of that year, Boko Haram had captured Goza. What they tried to do in Baga, and they were slaughtered. They tried it after he left. They captured Goza, chased away policemen from the training base, and then moved from Goza to Damboa. That was how they began to capture territories. Before you knew it, more than 17 local governments in Borno State alone were in their hands. 7 local governments in Adamawa alone in their hands. 2 local governments in Yobe in their hands.
When he started, he said, that's this last submission. If Boko Haram was tamed when it started, we won't be in this quandary. So we're in this knotty problem. Let's look at Boko Haram. We can digress a little bit. Boko Haram says it is avowed against anything conventional, anything Western. But then, if we digress, Hamas in Palestine says Israel has no right to exist. So Israel knows Hamas is a sworn enemy. Now I'm talking about negotiation. At that point, you couldn't go into a negotiation. But even if you do, Mustafa, so that you speak now, even if you do, shouldn't you be exploiting an alternative means, even as you... If you understand what I mean.
Yes, sir.
You are negotiating at the front room. Backyard, you are doing something else.
As a matter of fact, what are we even negotiating now? What is our strength in these negotiations? What is Nigerian strength? These people are fighting 2 very basic, they have 2 basic strengths to me. They are fighting an ideological warfare. That is 1. They are fighting an unconventional warfare. That is 2. And they have all the strengths now. And we know over a period of time that even Boko Haram and some other has been declared internationally as a terrorist group. They have their own chain of commands all over, and they have their own supports. Where are we starting from? Where are we starting our negotiation from? Where is our strength?
Who is the point man here?
Who is the point man? Who are the people that can negotiate on our behalf? There used to be this journalist, I've forgotten his name, that tried to do negotiations at a point.
Guy?
No, it's
okay,
it's like
he
tried.
Doesn't get involved in these ones.
At a point, he even had to escape because it became a
remember the Australian?
Yes, and even the Australian. They frustrated
Yeah.
all these moves. So where do we begin from now? That is what, in all honesty, I don't have an answer to, that the government must provide an answer for. Secondly, like Jide said, I think President Jonathan was misadvised because there are some certain, I was privileged to meet the Attorney General then, and he said he was the one that advised the president then that he has no right to declare the state of emergency in any territory, which was the advice Jonathan followed, I think, I presume. So at the point in time that you ought to have declared a state of emergency in Borno, in Yobe, in that axis, he floundered.
It was unconstitutional.
It did not. They said it was not constitutional. But these people don't care.
But there was an exigency at the time.
An exigency, and the buck stops at your table.
The sort of state of emergency that people wanted was based on an antiquated 1963 law. And Falana and the rest of them came. That look, because Obasanjo did it, does not mean it that right. Yes. Right. Now that we are aware that it is wrong, you must not do it. And the president did the right thing because what Obasanjo would do at that time, of course, during Obasanjo's time,
that right has
six individuals were being used to impeach governors. Governors were being impeached with houses of assembly sitting outside their state. So many things were happening. That time it was the era of impunity. But the law that says that once you declare a state of emergency, all democratic structures will be suspended. Is a law that says that no longer exists. So the president was told, and he didn't go ahead to do it. Well, you see, the thing is, even the minimal state of emergency that he instituted at that time was working because it allowed you to detain people for so long while you continue to investigate them. Nobody can take you to court over that. But the thing is, the leadership of the army was not up to scratch. And that was why within 4 or 5 months of the change in leadership, these guys began to take territories. So, I mean, it is there. January, they took, they removed the man in January, I think January 18. And then by June, they began to proclaim a caliphate. And they were moving and moving and moving.
Okay, Asoko, political science will teach that politics is the art of the possible. How possible, after hearing these two gentlemen, how possible is it to tame terrorism?
Well, it depends on just like Jide said, politics, it depends on which of the Boko Haram group is politically inclined. Is it the Al-Banawi or whatever they call them? Or the Shekau. We don't know which one. And then we don't really know which of them the government will like, to, negotiate and discuss and talk with for us to be able to release these girls. If he speaks with the Shekau group, will the other group,
the other group will keep the girls they
will
have.
Keep the girls they have, So the government will have to be very, very strategic. Now that the president has said it openly, that the military option is a no-no, it means he has to, I don't know if he has even a strategic team that sits down with him to discuss these issues, because he needs to. That is where they will now sit down and say, okay, what do we do? Do we move ahead to begin to discuss? And who do we discuss? Or who should be like a third party for us? And how genuine is the third party?
Don't tell me the president didn't listen to advice before he came out in the open.
See, with what has been happening,
would have.
Citizen, with what has been happening with the body language and the statement of the president these days, it is very difficult for you to, say that the president has advisors that will tell him, Mr. President, say this.
I think he just says what he likes.
That is it. From what he has been saying.
Jonathan said a similar thing. Jonathan said this. He said Boko Haram has infiltrated his government.
But he did nothing.
Unfortunately so. And that same admittance is what, unfortunately,
Mustafa, at that point, President Jonathan couldn't have said so from a void. He would have been giving information, don't you think?
Of course, we know.
So do you want to compare that one that has been getting information and this one that will come out and tell you that even the IG that he ordered? Yes. So what we are saying is, we know that the president is being truthful.
The president is frustrated. That is, both languages are languages of frustration in the first instance. If a commander-in-chief says, look, even I myself am no longer saying because these Boko Haram people surround me. And the president has said that now, the military option is out of the way.
Yeah.
It's an admittance, with all respect, and I'm not saying this lightly, and with every respect to the president, it's an admittance of failure.
Okay. Jide, a moral and political, political angle is the exchange of terrorists for innocent captives. How far does this take us? But I have Kelechukwu. I will just hold you. We'll come back to you. Kelechukwu, you are welcome. How do you do?
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
I commend your works there, and mostly I want to commend Mr. Otitioju. Each time I didn't see him, whenever I did not see him in that journalist hangout, I feel as if something is not complete.
You are not saying you are not saying a man cannot go on leave. But let's go.
Don't worry.
Okay then.
Hello?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. What I want to contribute, sir, concerning this Boko Haram, the blame, to me, in my personal opinion, the blame goes to 80% of the northern elites, or 95 or 85. Then the other 20 goes to the government. Because when this Boko Haram menace started, none of the elites from the north come out and say, we don't want this, or speak against it. I could remember that day, that time, even Buhari said, when they were killing the Boko Haram, Buhari said, why are you killing my people? And secondly again, when they want to negotiate or go for dialogue, they appointed Muhammad Buhari, to stand for them. So we begin to wonder now, is this Boko Haram, we are not something that they planned to destabilize?
Who are these they? Who are these they? All right, thank you. More questions and answers at a time like this. I just asked you, the moral angle and political to this is the exchange of prisoners. How far will it take us? Because you are negotiating while you are exchanging prisoners.
It's a kind of it's a choice between the devil and the deep blue sea. All forms we lose. We lose. All forms we lose. When you release their prisoners, they know their
very best,
most prized people in Nigerian prisons. They will tell you the prison where they are being kept because they have information. They will tell you the prison. They will say it's this particular person that we want.
They hold the ACEs.
Yes, they said this person, this guy, our commander, our bomb maker that you've kept in Akwa Ibom prison. You know, that was where they put the Christmas Day bomber when he was jailed.
Please remove them from there.
They took him. That was where they took him. Not very far from where his own people can regularly see him. They took him to one end of Nigeria. So, Kabru Sokoto. So they will say, this is the person that we want. You cannot say, no, this bomb maker is too dangerous. Or, oh, our commander that you seized. And some of their commanders were deserters from the Nigerian army. Some of them as warrant officers, all those junior.
The rank and file.
Yes, you know. But they go and work for them. They train them how to drive tanks and all that. Boko Haram will give them good money, and they become
Jide,
useful.
it takes us back to where we started. Sorry, it takes us back to where we started. Should you negotiate with terrorists?
It is unhealthy. It is senseless. But the question to ask is, if I had a daughter among those girls, because my government has failed me. My government has failed me by not protecting my child who is in school. We say we want school enrollment to go up in northern Nigeria, and we can't protect the girls. So people go, pluck those girls out of school. I will be the first to ask that they should negotiate. I'm not an hypocrite. If my daughter was amongst them, I will ask them to negotiate. But I know that it is wrong. Governments don't like negotiating. But I've seen Israelis exchange up to 2,000
For one
person,
soldier.
one soldier.
Yeah.
I've seen Israelis exchange hundreds of living prisoners alive for the corpse,
of a fallen
Israeli soldier. So these things, state governments negotiate, but they don't negotiate directly. They go through a third party and they will tell you, no, we don't negotiate with terrorists, we don't do this, because it is unhealthy, it makes no sense. It emboldens the terrorists. Remember when Saddam Hussein claimed during the first Gulf War that he actually arrested some Western pilots, kept them in a building, and Margaret Thatcher said, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Let me take Charles. Charles, welcome. Thanks for waiting. Charles, welcome. Let's go.
Hello, citizen.
Yeah, I greet you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
I do everybody here. Good day, Africa and Mustafa.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Actually, I thank you so very much with that story of Iyejirika. If Iyejirika was in army, I'm sure by now, Boko Haram would be easy. But then, the previous government thought within themselves that they should remove him, and immediately we removed him, the problem started. But the only thing we can do now is not to negotiate with terrorists, but even if we are going to negotiate, informing them that we want to negotiate, we empower the other party to go ahead and begin to pick up our other girls. Nigerians cannot be protected, throughout the level of security and men that we have on ground. So if we now continue to say we are giving our resources to encourage terrorism, I think it is very bad for the future of the country.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Otherwise, Mustafa.
Let me round up quickly on that. You see, ideally, that school should not have been open in that distant part of the Yobe State, not far away from Niger Republic. I always say it, I'm not disparaging that country. It is what I feel. I think that Niger Republic is close to a failed state. And the fact that Boko Haram has active cells inside Niger Republic makes my blood boil. Chad has been able to contain Boko Haram significantly. Go and look at Boko Haram attacks in Nigeria, Cameroon, and Niger. You see that the Chadians have brought it down. They brought those attacks down. And they are active inside Niger. Niger, to me, is a failed state. Why won't it be easy for Boko Haram to stream in and out of Nigeria? They can take those guys, hide them inside Niger.
Yeah.
When they see that negotiations are this, they can come back. So it's a terrible thing. That school should not have been open at that time.
Ogunshaki, bargaining with terrorists will give them undue publicity and put them at par with the government.
Citizen Jones, imagine this scenario. Imagine how proud Boko Haram people will be feeling now. And imagine how dejected our own soldiers will be feeling with this statement. That can just show you the scenario. That is, we have, on our own accord, we have boosted their morale. We have boosted their morale, and the morale of our own people are very, very low now. So, asking our soldiers to even do anything now is nearly impossible.
Oh, but let's face it, they can't rescue those guys. They can't. If it was easy to rescue militarily, The Chibok girls by now will all have been brought back home. They tried it. They tried it.
Even at that.
Do you know that some of those Chibok girls are amputees as we speak? Have you not seen pictures of Chibok girls? Some have died from even bombings. They've died. Even the girls who were released admitted that some of their colleagues even stepped on IEDs. Some of them from bombings by the Air Force. Some of them are dead. So if they kept them in, and they are wise, they will not keep them in one place. Which military operation will secure the release of all 110 girls? They are not fools.
All right, let me take
So
Victor.
I'm sure that's why the president thinks it's best to negotiate.
I'll take Victor. Odiep is left the line.
That's why the president thinks it's best to negotiate. It's not that it's demoralizing the army. It's not. That's not the same thing as demoralizing the army. We give this army 1 year. Go and find these guys. We saw it even with the those oil workers. Did they find them? They didn't. Until we negotiated and secured the release.
Coming out openly to admit that the military option is out is an admission of failure. The president shouldn't have come out to say that. That's my own saying.
Let's look at
and
coin.
You can go on underground, do whatever you want to do.
Mustafa, a teacher once told us in class, there are 3 sides to a coin.
Yes.
This side, the other side, and the edge. It's a side. But let's quickly take John in Kaduna. Welcome, John. Hello, John. Are you there?
Yes, please.
Hey, let's go. You are on. John is not quite ready.
Good evening, gentlemen.
All right.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Just want to add this issue. The military is overworked.
That's true. He's listening to himself. He said the military is overworked. Keep talking. I don't have to stop. Just keep talking.
All right. So,
just like I admit that there are 3 angles to this.
Yeah.
But then what I'm talking about
if
is
the president,
that statement.
you know, it's what you said. The president didn't have to say, look, the military option is out. What if this is just close to his chest?
Of course, any father, like say, as a father, it must be close to his chest. I can imagine how the president is feeling now. You understand me? I don't have any problem with how, I mean, the conscience of the president. What I'm saying that you ought not to have come out like that. Whatever you want to do, at least you would have done it on the ground.
Mr. President has come out, so this is not the time to cover anything. He has come out with the statement, and that's what we're dealing with. So, but I'm insisting, you couldn't possibly say, Mr. President is saying bye-bye to the military option.
No,
what if it is a trump card?
Well, it's not impossible. And I'll be very, very happy if there is a maneuver. The president is a general. Don't let us forget.
We are saying this like this because it is already in the open.
It's
already in the open. If it was closely guarded, we wouldn't have broached it.
Exactly. The president has already made up his mind to negotiate. So, but that doesn't stop the military from doing their job. They will still go ahead and do their work.
Yeah. They can find them.
If they can find
doubt it.
Because right now, all the agencies are all on ground. The Air Force, the Army, all of them, they are all on ground. And I'm very, the negotiation is just like, okay, fine. If maybe I want to believe the president has a timeline. If by so time we can't get them through this other option, then we have to go.
The longer it takes, the greater the pressure on him.
Exactly. So, and he knows the parents will continue to mount pressure on him.
And not just that, the international
community
is
because
watching
he knows, like one of the statements he made, he said the international community, they are also ready to assist.
They will do it.
And
so, well, the VR must understand this. Our business at this table is to help mold opinion based on facts we have gathered and allow you to make up your mind. Mr. President has come to the open to say, this is what we are going to do, and we won't do this. The debate continues. Let's take this break and return. Okay then, Senate and the House of Reps in Nigeria have consulted, just as President Buhari rejects the reordering of the elections. But let's tell you this, the 1999 Constitution as amended guarantees the independence of the executive and the legislative arms of government, but does not say that both arms should be independent of the country. What am I saying? The continuing disharmony between the two arms have divisive tendencies following the president's withholding of assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2018. Both the red and green chambers of parliament are considering a next line of action. High-level consultations, we are told, are on the way forward. At a critical time like this, Jide, politics, there appears to be more politics in politics.
Yes, and we're approaching another election year, and the stakes are high. The stakes are definitely high. For me, I've sat down and I've been asking myself, why do these people want their own election to be held first? Because it has grave implications. For politicians in the National Assembly who are tied to Muhammadu Buhari's apron strings, I don't know how you want to win without...
By reordering the roster.
I don't see how, because the people will ask, oh, is the president contesting? Remember what happened in 2011 after the Buhari lost the presidential election. The governorship election in states where his party CPC was very strong, were lost to the PDP. Because the people just felt, look, since Buhari had lost the election, some of them even set ablaze their cards. They refused to vote. And if we hold this election, we hold the National Assembly elections before the presidential election, and the people are sensitized to the fact that, look, the final election is the one that concerns Buhari. All these northern senators, because some of them can't even win an election conducted around their dining table, they are going to lose. It is a fact, because I know...
Depending on how large the table is.
A table for 6 people, a small family of 6, you know, a lot of them will lose. So, but what other people are saying is, oh, if they don't do it at the same time, they do National Assembly election first, the smaller parties will make some gains. And I do not see any sense in that argument, that the smaller parties, you mean that a party that is not popular somewhere, because the National Assembly election is held first, they will now do well in that election. This logic, and then some are saying, oh...
It defies simple logic.
Yes, I can't understand. Then some of the National Assembly members too are saying, oh, we want to show that we can win without the president. Be careful what you want.
Because you may get it.
Yeah, be careful what you want. Because if you have not made yourself, if you have not warmed yourself into the hearts of the people, and on election day, you want to test your popularity, you want to put Muhammadu Buhari aside and test your popularity. Honestly, a lot of them in that National Assembly, the last dispensation, I think about 70-something senators didn't come back. And we were saying, look, this is a massive loss, because it takes a lot to train a parliamentarian in the methods of the National Assembly. 70-something people didn't come back out of 109. It's a massive waste. So I don't know what will happen this time. But the only thing that I think, if we look at the amendments that they have made, for me, apart from this one, the sequence of the election that they have reordered, for which I support the president that, look, it will infringe on the powers of the INEC as guaranteed by the Constitution, that INEC will be the organ that organizes election. I think all other amendments that they made were right. Because if you look at what they said regarding, they said, if a running mate dies, it's part of the amendment to Section 36. If a running mate, I mean, if the candidate yes, dies, the main candidate, that the running
when
mate,
the process
had not been concluded, his running mate can inherit the votes, which, if we had that as a portion of the Constitution, Faleke would today have
Would
become
have
the
been your
governor of my former state.
Gentlemen, Jide is aggrieved.
No, I'm saying that if we had that,
I agree. So
it's an hypothetical,
In other words, you would have
hypothetical submission.
you can go to court. Yeah, but gentlemen, every law.
Too late to go to you are taunting me, bro.
No, I'm not. Every law, whether either by the State Assembly or the National Assembly, is pursuant to the Constitution.
Yes.
If they twig with the tamper with the roster and they have their way, how does it? How will the Constitution 1999, as amended, react to this?
The responsibility of the legislature is to make laws, is to amend laws. It falls within the purview of their responsibilities. The motive behind this is what I honestly don't understand. Because if you are doing something to shoot yourself in the foot, I don't know whether it's a wise decision or not. But then, there may be an interest that is even higher than theirs now, in the sense that perhaps maybe this will serve Nigeria's interest better, so that everybody for once will bear his own name and responsibility. The truth of the matter is that if the president's elections comes first, as usually was the case before, chances that there's going to be a bandwagon effect. Most of them, like Jide says, were actually, most of them are running on the name of the president, not even their own names. So if they now say that, okay, let the presidential election comes after, last. That means that for once, Nigeria may just witness the quality of individuals that comes up for elections. And that may actually be a game of...
So it won't be the party now,
It won't be
but the person, the man.
The person, in most cases, what respect does people even have for the party in most
okay.
So that, but the personality of the head is usually determines our elections here. But I think it's going to be interesting how it comes out for me.
Yeah. Asokwa, there's an interplay of two forces here from what we're gathering. PDP caucus members and APC senators loyal to the number 3 man, the Senate President, on the one hand, and APC members loyal to Mr. President. We have a battle royale ahead of us.
Exactly. The thing is, looking at the whole thing, you just know that it is more about themselves than even we, you know, because if you look at we the people, you know, because if you look at it, why are they trying to amend the constitution and bring the electoral act and bring their own election first? Because if you look at the dynamics and the politics around it, the number 3 man, just like you said, the Senate President, is most likely, if you look at it, is most likely it might not be the number 3 man in the next dispensation. So he is trying to...
It might be going for number 1?
It might be going for number 1, depending on who the president comes, is going to be from the party.
Okay.
If, for instance, if Buhari comes in, for instance, and Buhari wins the election, and he becomes the number, and he also wins his own election, that is, as coming back into the Senate, I'm not sure the APC will want to allow him to become number 3 again. They will reorder the whole system and make sure that the party is organized. It won't be the back door of, okay, trying to make sure that another election is being held for him to become the Senate President. So he is also trying to form his own army. That is what he's trying to. That is what he's trying to do, both from his own party, which is the APC, and the PDP. And that is why they are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that their own election is being held. And just like Jide said, it is very, very dangerous.
This is not to talk about the third force we hear is
the third force. That one is a different thing entirely.
Okay.
It's a different thing because if they are going to go to the third force, they will still have to start afresh. But they are already in a party and they want to see how they can shake the party a bit to make sure that they own the party one way or the other. So, but it's very dangerous because they are trying to play on the intelligence of the Nigerian people. And that is where the Nigerian people will shock them. That, okay, since this is what you want, because they want to override the veto of the president.
You are so sure of these Nigerian people.
See, I'm so sure because,
of this Nigerian people
if you look at it, Citizen Jones, if you look at it, every year, as we move into a new election, Nigerians are getting wiser. Things are changing. The era of, okay, before we are not using, what is it called, card readers. Now we are using card readers. Now INEC is saying there's no incidence form. So it means everybody to your tent, oh Israel, you must use card readers.
To your tents, oh Nigeria.
So now everybody must go ahead and make sure that they get their PVC. And that is, everybody is now, if you look at the eagerness in Nigerians now, everybody wants to get their own PVC to make sure that they vote the person they want, not a party telling them who to vote or giving them, you understand? So the knowledge, Nigerians now have the power, the knowledge power to know that, okay, this is what they want. So let them not play on our intelligence again. Nigerians know what they want now.
No, speak for you.
Okay.
Don't speak for me.
Okay. I don't know. When body comes.
Don't speak for me. Gidi, but look at the scenario. It's a little trifling that you can have the APC ruling party with what you might call a simple majority at the National Assembly on the path of being going self-destruct. It is a choice at a time like this.
Yeah, that is what you get when you fail to show interest in who emerges as your Senate president in a country like ours. And speaker. Both Dogara and Buki Saraki were not
Buki.
That's short for it's even sexier to pronounce it that way. Now, both of them were not candidates of the leadership of the APC, and they tried their best to get some other people in their place, put some other people in their place, but they failed. Bukola has kind of cemented his base in the Senate to the point that you cannot remove him. Since you cannot remove him, you have a choice. Do you work with him, or you continue your court case against him in the hope that he will be convicted and then he will be disgraced out of office? So it's a choice.
Hobson's choice?
Yes, it's a choice that the president had to make. This president does not seem like he wants to patronize the Senate president in any way, because the Senate president is known to have even made some overtures, made some moves,
To mend fences?
Yes. For example, when the Senate president got the second letter from the DSS, saying that they don't want Magu and all that, he contacted the president. I have this letter now. What do we do? But the president, as his nature, said, look, just follow your mind. I'm not going to get involved. That's his nature. He didn't want to get involved, and Saraki had tomatoes on his face because he felt that I tried to reach out to stop this embarrassment, but the president could not be bothered. So the choice now is, what do we do with these people? You've made that mistake from the beginning at a point when you were so popular that if you told the candidates, especially candidates from northern Nigeria who dominate the two houses, if you had announced that, look, this is my choice, support my choice. And I remember Kwankwaso warning at that time that, look, this kind of scenario that played out, that led to the emergence of Tambuwal, will happen again if the party does not announce in good time its choice. So you left these people alone, and they were moving. Saraki was moving around campaigning. Once people had made up their minds that, look, Saraki is my candidate for Senate president, and some of them are taking money from him, you can't come at the last minute and expect them to change their minds. So that was the mistake the president made by saying, I'm for everyone. You can't be for everyone, because the bandits will decide to own you. If you say, I'm for everyone, oh, the bandits can say, oh, the president says, look.
I'm sure you remember I'm for everyone, but not for anybody, was on inauguration morning.
It's the same thing.
But we are,
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. He's trying to say, look, fellow Nigerians, I do not have preference for anybody. And I'm saying that as president, you must have preference for the decent people. You must have preference for the honest people. Otherwise, Buhari Ndaji, the one who kills people inside the forest of Zamfara, can say that I'm for, the president is for me, or this one is for me. No, you can't have that scenario. So that mistake has been made. Now, they must live with the consequences of not getting involved in the choice of in who emerges as any president.
But we are told by experts that in politics, stupidity is not a handicap.
It's not, as you always remind us here. I salute you for that. As you always remind, even when we forget.
The president
he made a mistake.
May appear to you to have made a mistake,
He
but he's a politician.
No, he made a mistake, and he tried to make amends by dusting up Saraki's case with the EFCC, dating back to 2003.
Was it really the president that did that?
This is my opinion. By dusting it up, but that has still not worked. The man still remains any president.
Exactly.
How do you close?
I think a new thing is in the offing. People are not coming out with their cards already. They are just seeing the periphery. Very, very soon, we'll begin to see alliances and realliances. And that's what this team is for me.
Well, I close by saying that the APC has to come together if they really want, if they really know what they want, you know. Because if the National Assembly should veto this, it will be a test, a real test to our democracy, and that is what many people
they need to
the veto is some people will go
they,
to.
they need
the
two-thirds
Supreme
to veto.
Even if they, you see, let me tell you,
try it.
even if they veto,
I want them to even try it.
even if they veto, the Supreme Court still has the power to determine whether the Constitution has been contravened or not. You know, that is the thing. Because if they don't do that, that means even the Senate can abuse its powers.
All right, we must go. But let me thank Supo James for coming.
Thank you so much.
Mustafa, I cannot thank you enough. Yes. And Jide, many thanks for your time.
I agree too.
Okay, then we'll just drop anchor here for the day. But know this, that interest to the politician is very paramount. I hear a Nigerian politician is ready to die for his interest than for his rights. So we have rights here, we have interests there. But for us at this table, it is the interest of the Nigerian. I thank you. There's another program in the series tomorrow. Join us, but then get a repeat broadcast of this particular episode at 11 later on today. And of course, you can join us on the on our many YouTube. Come on, I'm not a TV man. Yeah, but then join us. We want to thank you for your time. Take care of yourself. Bye bye now.